chef school? This ain't exactly where I saw myself.
Look at this. All these people, their entire lives distilled down to names on a memorial. I wonder how close I came to being reduced to just a name. I am proud. I was simply too foolish to realize it, until you changed my perspective. And I care about you too. There's obviously some kind of a connection between us that I think we need to discuss. Just let me have another moment here, and then we can head over to the waterfall, so we can talk in private. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go. When things at the lodge are too much, I love coming to this spot to just sort of, I don't know, melt away for a while. It's lovely here, isn't it? I've been from one end of the settled systems to the other. But this place, this exact spot, there's nowhere else like it in the galaxy. I don't know. I'm not sure I can explain it. Maybe it's the strange way that the art, technology, and nature fuse together, or maybe it's because it feels like home. Whatever it is, I definitely feel more comfortable here than anywhere else I've ever been. I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. I usually come up here to mull over some of the heated debates we have at Constellation. You'd be surprised how many decisions I've made on this very spot. That's actually why I asked you to meet me up here. I was hoping we could talk about something very important. No, nothing like that at all. I just have a lot on my mind, and I am terrible at getting right to the point. I know you are. Just give me a moment. I have a lot I need to say. It's about my return to Cassiopeia. What we learned about Sona has been constantly replaying in my mind. Maybe it sounds crazy, but that young girl's isolation feels like a reflection of my own life. In all honesty, I don't. She simply reminds me of my own isolation. Maybe not in the literal sense of the word, but I certainly relate to some of her loneliness. Maybe. But for how long? I've spent my life surrounded by all sorts of people. Constellation, the Navigator Corps. Hell, even the UC military. Despite that, no matter how hard I've tried to make them a part of my life, they tend to drift away and disappear. Are you sure? For all we know, it's in my nature to keep people at arm's length. Or worse, push them away. Finding someone like that would be wonderful. Wait a second. What exactly are you saying? Sorry, I just need a moment to gather my thoughts. From things you've said in the past, it's obvious you want to have a serious relationship. You want to become close. So, if you're willing to take that leap of faith with someone like me, then I'm ready to do the same. I can't imagine being in love with anyone else. So, if you're willing to make the leap, I'm ready to do the same. You're something truly special. You know that? You've helped me conquer my self-doubt, my confidence, hell, everything. For the first time in my life, I feel complete. And with you by my side, I'm convinced that feeling will last forever. You're the best thing that's happened to me in my life. I love you. Always. I received a message from my mother a few days ago. She's returned from another one of her sightseeing cruises. Yeah, you know, one of those luxury liner journeys that shows off binary stars, gas nebulas, asteroid fields. Pretty photogenic stuff. Apparently, it's my mother's new favorite pastime. Why would you be... Oh, I see. We never talked about this, did we? The truth is that my mother lives in a fairly remote location, so we rarely speak to one another. Sure, when you're younger. But as soon as you get older and they begin controlling your life, that's when you need to strike out on your own. Oh, I'm certain they felt they were doing the right thing. You see, both of my parents were diplomats working under the flag of the UC Administrative Division. After I completed my basic education, they signed me up for a one-year apprenticeship in their department, without bothering to ask. It's the governmental arm of the United Colonies. You know, the politicians, the diplomats, the ambassadors. Imagine having to spend most of your career hovering behind a desk. Oh, I can't even fathom anything more boring. Look, I was 18 years old, fresh out of school, and I idolized my parents. I trusted them. I'm certain they felt they were doing what was best for their daughter. Who was I to argue? Wanted isn't the right word. Demanded would be more appropriate. For my apprenticeship, I was sent to Sidonia. My job consisted of drafting political policies and arbitrating trade disputes. The silver lining of the job was that it allowed me to spend time exploring every square inch of Mars. You have to understand, this was my first time I was alone on another world. Now, don't get me wrong. Jemison is an amazing place, but for me, it was the old neighborhood. Mars was like a new frontier. Oh, I spent every waking moment I could exploring the planet. I was swallowed by it. Months before the apprenticeship ended, I dumped my diplomatic certification and joined the UC Navy. Of course, my parents didn't approve. We had a huge argument that resulted in all ties being severed between us. Yes, I was proud of myself. For a while. You see, my father was killed during the opening shots of the Colony War. I returned to Jemison for the funeral and reunited with my mother. After that, we vowed to stay in touch. After the Freestar Collective started farming Vesta, and the UC pushed back, my father was one of the many diplomats sent in to arbitrate. After the talks broke down, war broke out on Vesta, and all of the UC diplomats were evacuated from Freestar space. Unfortunately, my father's transport was caught in the crossfire. Aren't you sweet? Always concerned with how I'm feeling. That's why I fell in love with you. Your smile, your caring. It brightens even my darkest days. Listen, I'm going to be completely upfront with you. All this talk of family, it makes me wonder where our own relationship stands. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I regret the family life I left behind when I took off for the stars. If there was ever a chance for something like that between us, I wouldn't want to miss the opportunity. I love you too much to allow that to happen. That's why I asked about our future and where we stand. You mean that? You'd do that? For me? I've been dreaming about this moment and still... I don't know what to say. I swear, I'll love you until forever itself ends. I just need a little time to think about the ceremony. I have some thoughts about how we should move forward. You know, I used to dream about finding the love of my life. And here you are. All I ever needed was you, right here beside me.
Of all the places we've lived, this is my fate. Talking with you has made my day. I'm being serious.
Take care, kiddo.
I have things for you.
Not on your mind? Actually, yes, I do. Here you are. Oh, I love catching up with you. Let's do it again sometime. That's all we need.
Yes?
Captain, it is. I will happily. I will await your next order here.
Scan any promising leads.
What's up?
Hello.
Didn't know you could build one of those.
Good to see you. Do you need me for something? There's room in my bag if something needs carrying. Make it quick. We have work to do. No, I don't. I only ask as many questions as I need to get my job done. I had no idea it was dangerous. I've seen skeletons the size of starships buried in sheetrock, and crystals that release a toxic gas potent enough to kill you through your suit. Once I was part of a job that unearthed an entirely new species of cave-dwelling insects. You never know what you'll find when you break ground. Rocks are good at keeping secrets. No, whatever that thing was, it's the only one I've ever seen. I'm glad it's not my problem anymore. And I'm glad you bounced back from it. Losing a miner is never easy. Is that all? Glad to see you're back in one piece. I suppose that wouldn't kill me. I never considered anything else. My parents were miners too. I've been learning the trade since I was old enough to dig. Longest I've spent above ground was the year and a half I served in the UC military during the Colony War. That was more than enough for me. I prefer to keep my boots full of dust, and my pockets full of credits. Less trouble that way. If you insist. I did. I know I don't seem like the military type. Like most people, I was less practical when I was young. I was a drill sergeant. You don't seem surprised. I have a firm hand and a knack for getting the best out of people. The UC saw that and put me in charge of training new recruits for combat. I was talked into it. Someone I loved felt called to serve, and he asked me to join him. Only one of us walked away from the war, though. I was only in the military for a year and a half. I spent the rest of the war underground. mining materials for the UC to turn into ships and bullets. Well, I lost someone dear to me in the war. I'm as strict as I need to make sure my workers' families don't have to go through that too. Mining can be as dangerous as combat, you know. There's a good reason why I've held on to old habits. It was my husband, the love of my life. He was killed just a month before the armistice. No, we didn't. I was stationed at a recruiting center on Jemison, and he served on the front lines. He was a crewman aboard one of the UC's largest ships. He used to tease me about how much more exciting his service was than mine. He always hated being stuck in cities for too long. The transport vessel he was aboard was shot down by the Freestar Collective. Hundreds of lives lost. That's the cost of peace. My husband was proud to serve the UC. He served honorably, and I'm proud of him for it. I only wish I'd gotten to say goodbye. Thank you. It was never quite the same after he died. Sure. His name was Manuel. He was a miner, like me. We were stationed at the same outpost for a few years, and we had the same supervisor. He was a better man than most. Honest, kind-hearted, and even-tempered. I've never felt more at peace than I did when I was with him. Losing him was the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Damn colony war. 5 years. Then we were married for most of it. I knew he was right for me after our first conversation. And I'm not the type to waste time. I can still remember the look on his face when I asked him to marry me. Do I seem like the motherly type, Dusty? No. We never had children of our own. Manuel has a daughter named Miranda, but she was already a teenager when we got married. She lives in New Homestead with her family. We aren't very close, but I try to see her every time I pass through the Sol system. Oh, save your speeches for the crowds in New Atlantis. It took a massive loss of human life to show our leaders that peace was the right course of action. There's no excuse for that. Not when the war ruined so many lives. I'm far from the only person whose future was stolen from them. My husband's death changed me forever. I refuse to let the government off the hook for that. Manuel was my greatest joy. When he died, he took most of my happiness with him. I couldn't handle the heartbreak, so I threw myself into work. I barely looked up from a cutter for years after that. I figured if I kept my head down and my workers safe, that eventually I'd get over the loss. But it's like I said, time doesn't heal everything. I believe I was only ever meant to love one person. I still hate waking up without him. I was with the other officers at my base when a report came through about one of our ships being destroyed. I recognized its name from Manuel's messages. It took a few days before the casualty reports started coming through. By the time one of the officers came to console me, I already knew he was gone. Space battles don't tend to leave many survivors. I don't think so either. I don't know if distracting myself instead of finding a way to move on was the right choice. That's the trouble with aging. The more of it you do, the more foolish your younger self looks. If it is time to move on, then leaving Argos was a good first step. I don't have as much to worry about out here. What is it? I hope that satisfied your curiosity.
You picked the wrong fight. Nice bit of work there.
I hope you're having a good day. Let's get out there and do something new today, shall we?